Welcome everyone to this exciting interview segment. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Eric Mabius, star of the Hallmark mystery movie Signed, Sealed, Delivered, A Tale of Three Letters. Eric takes on the role of Oliver. Join us as we delve into Eric's insights into his character and the challenges of filming this movie. Thank you, Eric, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed our conversation about Italy before you turned the recording on.
Yeah, so
Everyone missed out on a lot of the good stuff.
so change of subject.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about your character and your time in fan favorite TV show Chicago Fire?
I had so much fun filming that. And I was in the middle of shooting Signed, Sealed, Delivered. So I would film in Vancouver and I'd run over to Chicago I'd fly over for a few days here. So I'd pop in. I knew I'd gotten to know Jesse a little bit over the years because he was doing House at the same time I was doing Ugly Betty. So when we'd have to travel for events, we would sort of casually say hello. And we were at the Prince Andrew has a television festival in Monaco, and we spent some substantial time together there as well. So we became certainly friendly, and so coming to Chicago to film that, and it was still early on, and there was no Chicago Med then, or it was just starting, and there was no Chicago PD, I believe. So Dick Wolf was just sort of unraveling, setting up the empire in Chicago, so to speak. So I think everyone was really excited on set there. They weren't that's a lot of time on set to shoot that many episodes a season. I should know, but I can't imagine doing it that many years. But so it was really fun and introducing a spin on Jesse's character by introducing the sort of evil Jack into his sort of sphere was fun to play that part, because it was not exactly what Chicago Fire was used to having, right? There was the story and the fire and the drama in the firehouse, and this was sort of him going outside of the firehouse to get more work at doing construction work on the side. So it's fun to play a bad guy because I rarely do it, and I'm pretty good at it, I think, because I spend so much time inhabiting. I mean, I guess on Ugly Betty, I was kind of a good bad guy or a bad good guy, depending on how you look at it. But very different than Oliver for a lot of years. And it's such a well-run machine. Chicago Fire was a joy to be around, and fun to go to a show that has that kind of budget and that scale and that many people. People are the department heads and the people, the crew are very good at what they do. Not that they're not in Vancouver, but it's a different scale, when you have network show like that. It's just a different sort of animal altogether when you're shooting 20-something episodes a year and been shooting it for, I don't know if I was in season 2 or 3, I don't remember, but it was still early on in the run. But
I think three.
And then into the next season, whenever that was. But it was fun, and he went to jail. I was sort of hoping he'd get out of jail and something would happen, but anyway, nonetheless. But it's great, and I love Chicago. I hadn't really spent much time there. But yeah, it's like that when on any set, when you're there, you're the main cast, and people you're spinning around, and people come in, Planet comes into and they make the day better by bringing something fun to do, whether it's a good or bad character. Coming to play at set with that attitude it just makes it fun. So going from being Oliver on SSD to the guest star on the show was really fun for me, because I didn't have the burden of the show on my shoulders. I didn't have 7-8 pages of memorization a day to do. So it was fun just to play with the character and just to shoot the breeze with Jesse and enjoy my time there. So.
It's amazing. Yeah. So, another TV show. Can you share your favorite memory about your time in Ugly Betty and UC?
Hmm. I'm in the OC. Um, I think, I think, I don't know. It was still so now I'm now not, I should say, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm not in my, I don't know what, I was probably in my early 30s when I shot the OC. I can't remember what year that was, but it was one of the first times I was not the young kid on set. You know, a lot of sets you're on, there's people like one of my earliest TV movies I did was with Patty Duke and Lolita Davidovich and some of the smaller parts beside me were like Jennifer Garner and Justin Chambers and Sam Trammell, all these people who went on to have really amazing careers. So we were like the kids, right? And then there's the older people in the movie. So it's a transition over time, right? And to be on the OC, I think it was the first time that I was the dean of discipline. It was the first time I was not the kid, right? Like in Cruel Intentions, I was not the high school kid. So it was fun to be that because I'm pretty immature still. I don't know if I'm ever going to grow up. So playing the hard ass dean of discipline on a show full of kids that are in different kinds of spoiled or troubled or going through whatever their problems were, it was just fun, you know, because I hadn't done that before. Up until that point, I was playing really edgy, a lot of indie movies, a lot of edgy characters, some very dark. So I was sort of giggle inside when I was supposed to be, you know, the dean of discipline and the hard ass because that's kind of the opposite of who I am as a person. So I really enjoyed that, and it's funny because inevitably when you're on set, the character you play, at least some of the people don't know how else to treat you other than the way your character is because that's the only way they know you as they're meeting you on set, you playing your character. Um, and I think with Ugly Betty there are just too many. I don't know if I could name a favorite. I mean, there was a. I don't think I've ever had so much fun on set and been surrounded by such talent. Talk about I was sort of in the middle to earlier end, younger end of that with the access we had to Broadway actors when we were shooting in New York, and you know some like Judith Light, who has now won I don't know how many Tony Awards on Broadway, but everyone knows her from her TV shows growing up. But really getting to know her as a person and working with her as just one of the most talented actors I've ever been around, and also being she's wonderfully mothering in real life too. So it was a I mean, I could go through each cast member and have my stories like that. The you know the episode where I would go and stay at the Suarez's because I was going through a terrible time with my family, and they took me in, and I felt like Justin was my younger brother, and that Tony Plana was my father. You know, like sort of they adopted me for a change, and there was a wonderful transition that Silvio used in each, and all the writers used in each episode. There was that's why I love Martha's writing, right, on SSD, because you're being your life is being enriched without you being preached to or talked down to. That's why I really have enjoyed SSD all this time, and why I really wish Ugly Betty had continued. I felt like it had an abrupt ending, and there were many different directions to go in. Like where the show ended up was again a starting off, jumping off point. You know, Betty really is her own person, even though she always had been, but shifting her life and moving into a more uh, a boss kind of position. And yeah, I mean, just it was remarkable in so many ways. I mean, we shot the pilot in New York. We moved to Los Angeles for a couple of years, and then moved to New York again. And having that access to the locations in New York, and even the challenges in shooting LA, trying to make it look like New York, that was fun every day. I mean, it was the schedule was insane, but everyone, every position, every crew member, our supervising director Victor Nelly has gone on to do such remarkable work. Every single person. I think there was a quote I did an interview a few weeks ago, and every time I read about or see come across one of my castmates, they're just it's just a feeling of pride. Not like I have ownership over that, but a feeling of pride. I mean, of course, not to mention what America's achieved since the show. It's not surprising, but it is extraordinary, definitely.
Amazing. So without thinking too much,
Yep.
would you prefer and say yes to an Ugly Betty reboot or an DLC reboot?
Oh, Ugly Betty, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think we just, like I said, where the show ended up was a new beginning, and I felt like we were just ready to start telling a whole new kind of story, because of the evolution of each of the characters and their personal journeys that it's like we were rolling up the sleeves and getting ready to really get in there. I think everyone was shocked when the show was canceled.
Yeah. So change of the subject again. We talk about your career in general. What have been for you some of the most memorable projects you have worked throughout your career, and why?
Well, certainly Ugly Betty, we've talked about it. Not just the challenges, the talent that I got to work with, the awards the show want, the recognition it achieved for being groundbreaking in so many ways. I think that mm, kind of what's the zeitgeist, what's current now, and inclusivity and people trying to feel like their voices are being heard. I feel like Ugly Betty was doing that from the start in 2006, and that many shows, they say, uh, when someone copies what you're doing, supposed to be the sincerest form of flattery. And I'd say there's been a lot of flattery of the show over the years. Um, I think there were a few touchstones. I think my first film, Welcome to the Dollhouse, the first, you know, it was an amazing film. Todd Solondz is a brilliant writer director. It won the grand prize at Sundance, which opened up a whole new sort of world to me. Because having grown up in New York indie film, it was fun to have that transition from, a scrappy movie in Sundance, shooting in New York, moving to Los Angeles, and having all these other, I did a lot of indie movies after that all over the country, and it was really, I've gotten to work with some of the greats, and I think Welcome to Dollhouse was certainly a pivotal moment in my life. Cruel Intentions was also, even though it was a small part for me, it's a movie that generations keep coming back to. I can say generations, which is hard, like more than one, I guess. I mean, that's also what's great about Ugly Betty, because they keep new platforms keep launching it. Like it launched on, I think, Netflix last year, and I get people who watched the show when it came out when we were making it now are watching it with their children,
Yes.
like their teenage children, which is amazing because there's so many lessons to impart, and the show does it. Like I said, we all feel like fish out of water sometimes, like we don't belong, and I think the show helps explore that and helps people learn how to heal when that we're all, we see someone, they look like they have it all together, and or that they're confident and they're successful, but it's, you peel those first layers back and you realize that we are all we're all scared little animals in many ways, that want to be loved, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and also on the fun side, a movie like Resident Evil was a fantastic movie to be a part of. I mean, I'd always admired Mila's career. She's really, she jumps in 100%, and she's very talented and fun to work with. And the cast and the director, it was one of the early video game adaptations that didn't suck like some, excuse my language, suck like so many did. And filming that in Berlin in the middle of the winter, it was just a very exciting time. Um, yeah, so.
Amazing. So, a quick answer. We are big fans of Christmas rom-com at reality shows. What is your all-time favorite? Christmas rom-coms or Christmas movies? All the
My all-time
one.
favorite, um, I think two, um, has to be It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Has to be. I know people don't like old black and white movies necessarily. A lot of people don't, but I tried to make my children watch it when they were too young, and they just thought I was crazy. There's something my parents showed it to me when I was young and I didn't quite get it, but it would become a ritual. And as we'd watch it every Christmas each year, as I would grow, the movie's meaning would grow inside. Um, and the name of the movie is out of my head right now. But it's the same production team that does Four Weddings and a Funeral. The Hugh Grant. What's the great British Notting Hill? The
Okay.
Christmas
Yeah.
movie. What is that movie? Do you know that movie? Um,
Love Actually.
yes,
Love
that.
Actually. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's got to be one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Just because,
Amazing.
I mean, they're pulling on your heartstrings, but it's just it again, it makes you laugh and cry and jump up in your seat and every time. And there's some, people of all ages and sort of backgrounds in the movie that are addressed, which I love. The little boy and his sort of not unreal love affair with his classmate and sort of from afar, and the office coworkers that long for one another, and people, who are the people next to them long for them, and they're, wanting to be with someone else. It's just the Emma Thompson. There's a scene in that Emma Thompson when she realizes that her husband is cheating on her with a younger woman. That woman happened to be the woman who played my sister in Resident Evil, Heike Makaj, which is so funny. Um, but when she realizes that, and there's a Joni Mitchell song playing, I mean, I defy anyone to not get choked up, unless they have a heart, I guess. But yeah, there's so much about that I love. Love Actually. I always forget the name of that movie.
Amazing. So this is it. Thank you so much for being with us today, Eric.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. And thank you all for watching.
And
Bye.
uh, and I hope we get to do this after the next one, because the next Signed Sealed Delivered movie um, builds on this one, and it's emotionally even more of a roller coaster than this one, and that's hard to conceive of because this one is. But anyway, what I'm saying is, what's waiting is there's more great content waiting. So anyway, thank
Great.
you. Sorry, I interrupted you. I apologize.
Don't worry. And thank you. And we hope to see the next chapter soon.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.